panel discussion to which we invited Ondřej Kovařík, member of the European Parliament in Renew Europe. He's been dedicated to finance, digital technology, AI, and especially from the regulation viewpoint. Barbora Brabcová is an expert in AI application, and she's a part of the Task Force for Education in Czech Association of AI. She lectures at the Prague School of Economics and at the West Bohemian University. And she helps to use AI in practice effectively. We welcome Lukáš Benzl, Director of Czech Association for Artificial Intelligence. He focuses on connecting theory and practice. He monitors regulation of AI on the EU level and strives for ethical use of AI in business. And Lukáš Kačena, Director of prg.ai, who supports, and the organization supports research and development and innovation in AI, and he also has experience from public administration. It's great that you stayed with us till the very end, because I've been looking forward to this panel, and this is where I know roughly what we are talking about. I'd like to start with a personal question, and I wanted to ask about how AI is changing your work currently. This was my initial idea, but then I realized that we have gentlemen who established an AI company. It's quite obvious, but we want to hear from all of you. Good afternoon, and thank you for invitation. It would rather be a question to my team who prepare background materials. So apparently you haven't replaced your team with AI. No, I have not replaced them, but my team definitely use AI tools. In my work of an MP, we are rather facing situations when AI tries to use our identity to offer some kinds of products in the better case, or some nonsensical political ideas. So this is where I encountered AI, so the kind of deepfake videos. As a publicly active person, you have to be aware of this. So definitely it is reflected in my work. Lukáš? Well, in fact, my personal work has not changed too much with AI. Of course, I do use it, but it has changed substantially the work of our association. Prior to autumn 2022, when the generative AI came to place, there wasn't that much interest in AI. Our organization started in 2019, but then in 2022, with the increased awareness, this had a great impact. Barbora, who is an educator on how to use AI in businesses to be more efficient and effective. It's quite a new business. Yes, definitely. When I started, I developed an application where I thought that the generative AI might help. So when ChatGPT appeared, it was my first choice, and it moved me forward. And this is perhaps the most substantial impact when you need to come up with an idea, you are missing or lacking the ideas, and you need a hint or a kick. And this is where I use AI. So I just use it as an impetus for my own creativeness. Thank you. Lukáš? Good afternoon. Our company or association was established when ChatGPT was already in place, and we wanted to use it. So we have automated multiple processes. We are still very few of us, and without AI, we would not be able to do without it. We generate majority of the content using AI. I even had my voice synthesized to make phone calls to our partners with questions whether they need anything for the conferences or for other events. So we do use AI a lot so that we really promote what we talk about. So we used this as an introductory question. And now, what will be the impact of AI on the labor market, or what opportunities it brings? What are the most desired skills on the labor market today? I think today's demand will not be accommodated with standard knowledge or skills. And on top of it, there is a demand for this human skills, that's, willingness to try new things, to complete tasks. I think this is one of the characteristics that is highly requested and required. To prepare your background materials, to do your research, it's quite an obvious thing. But being able to use the materials to complete a certain task, to implement it, it's really appreciated. We collaborate with several job portals, HR, recruitment companies, and we carried out an analysis of the tendencies in the sentiment. So one of the trends is very high specialization, or on the other hand, the job advertisements are requiring highly multifunctional individuals. And I think this is an impact of AI. Each of us can be a copywriter, project manager, programmer, program developer with AI. And this is one of the major impacts on the labor market. I have two comments. Boss of NVIDIA said that the job of a programmer is dead. Having your child studying for a programmer is a nonsense. And someone responded that the job, a profession of a programmer, has never been about knowing the programming languages, but it's more a matter of understanding and describing a problem and communicating it, or being able to communicate it to your team. And in that sense, the profession and this job will never be dead. So AI will or is already becoming part of the fundamental digital literacy, and each of us should be able to master or operate the tools. But coming back to the programmers, program developers, it brings us back to the labor market. Already today, and we have figures from the US.
My sem něco slyšíme ze zádu.
Já jsem si myslel, že to jsou hlasy.
I thought it was voices in my head. Well, I saw that we look at each other and I realized that somewhere a microphone must be turned on. So please switch it off. Thank you. I had such a nice idea that I wanted to share with you, but I will be quick. Now, programmer task can be done by generative AI in the US. This is the most of the use cases for AI, generative AI. In particular, it is able to replace junior positions, programmer positions. That means it will result in changes in the business model. If you pay AI for developing software, then you will be paying for the time that is used by AI, and also junior. We will not need so many junior developers. So we will switch from large program farms to something else. But how can you become a senior programmer? You will not be able to go through the junior position because there will not be many junior positions needed. So it is a question that we'll need yet to see the answer to. So we will need to come up with ways how to find new ways, new models. The same applies also to junior lawyers. How? Yes, I understand how they can become senior specialists if they cannot go through the stage of junior position. So I would like to know what does Europe do to make sure that technology changes bring more opportunities than threats. What can we do to get ready for that? I would like to ask Ondřej Kovařík. Well, this is a broad question. On one hand, we need to look at what is the nature of these threats and whether we can respond to them. If we look at AI, for instance, the attempt that the EU made was to adopt Act on Artificial Intelligence, the AI Act, and it categorizes individual systems that use AI depending on their or the potential risk to the society which they pose. And here, if we agree that there are some things that are not allowed by law in offline world, then they should be also banned by law in the online world, when, for instance, AI tools are used. So it is a question how to set up precisely the balance between the damage to the society and things that do not damage the society. Well, there was quite an extensive debate wherein this act was adopted, but I think that the way it is set up currently is quite well balanced. We'll see what it brings in practice during implementation, and regarding opportunities, here the regulation can actually hinder developments if these things are too strict, or the regulation is too strict, or it is implemented in too strict way. It may hamper the pace of innovation, or the innovation will take place outside of the EU. And this is one of the part of the criticism that was raised against this act. And we'll see whether this criticism is based on real valid arguments or whether it was just some pessimistic vision. So there is a specific question to you, whether you personally see AI regulation as necessary. Well, I see reasons for having such regulation for I see two reasons. First, we are able to set up uniform rules for all 27 countries. This regulation was first conceived at the time where individual member states started to think about implementing AI regulations, and I think it would be a worse option. It's much better to have uniform regulations across the entire EU. And the other thing is, I think that apart from threats, we should also think about how the current legislation deals with new business cases, with new business models that come with AI, how it deals with the fact that we already have existing legislation, for instance, relating to the protection of personal data, access to data that is key for developing new AI models. Here, I think the demand was also from the business side. There was a demand for some regulatory response, for some regulations that would clear in which environment would operate. The regulation was needed to eliminate the green area where it was not clear how to address cases where AI is used, for instance. So we now may discuss about this regulation is too detailed, too specific or not. And I think personally that we will need to wait for the actual implementation. If this act is implemented in a reasonable, balanced way, then I think it would make sure that the public administration performs its supervisory function while still providing enough room for the business. Then I think it would be helpful, actually, having that regulation. Well, I will rebel. I think we could discuss regulation for a lot of times, but this is not topic of this panel. Regulation is here. It is important. It should support development and use of AI, because we need to perceive AI as a technology that is a driver of innovation in the 21st century. But if I was to come back to the job market, we should make sure that people across all levels, across all groups of society, we need to make sure that they are not afraid of artificial intelligence, know how it operates, get to know this technology, and as part of getting to know this technology, they should also understand that in the near future, probably AI will not take away their job from them. Just this week, there was a public published which said that companies which invest in artificial intelligence and robotization do not decrease the number of their employees, because they are more efficient, they are more successful on the market, and they can afford to grow. And we see that also in the Czech Republic, where companies introduce artificial intelligence in their systems. It does not result in firing employees. There is a large company that operates a call center that receives thousands of queries, thousands of calls every day. They introduce AI solution, but it did not result in firing operators, because it is what AI does, it allows them to focus on more problematic cases and retain people, because the employees have an AI assistant that helps them to respond to the calls. So what I wanted to say is that we should not be afraid of AI. We should not see it as something that will take away our job, but we should see it as an assistant that will help us to develop. I remember the first digitized factory of Siemens. He said that we fully digitized and we hired 2% employees more, because we were able to handle more and we needed more people. Lukáš, do you have a comment about that? Until recently, I spoke in the same way as Lukáš does, but one large company operating a call center implemented AI solution, and they started firing people they no longer need. And in real life, artificial intelligence is already taking away jobs from people, and there are also long-term strategies to replace more jobs. They know that fluctuation or turnover of people in call centers is very hard, so they are trying to automate these processes, use artificial intelligence more. We see also solutions that show that AI can be autonomous. We keep hearing a lot about AI agents, that they can be used for more sophisticated tasks. And if we do not artificial intelligence to take away jobs, I think I would start from the other side. We should start with the management. We should guide them through the AI transformation in a responsible way, way and explain to them how they should reskill, requalify their people, how to set up a pro-growth mindset in the company, not a mindset where AI is used as a tool to take away jobs from existing employees. I think that you've heard a sentence that artificial intelligence will not take your job, but it will be taken away by someone who knows how to use AI. So it's applied already this year. We see already in this year that AI actually itself takes away jobs from people, and these people do not necessarily need to have low skills, low qualification. Bara, I would like to ask you about your experience. You go to companies. How do you manage to convince not the management but the employees that actually the AI can become their assistant, that it can help them? And one more question, is 1 year enough? As I've heard that you offer a 1-year program, and we also discussed this is a never-ending process. Yes, this is true. It is important to communicate with the management, to explain to the management, or the management should be able to inform its employees and motivate them, convince them, but exactly as you ask, some often we need to focus on the individual employees, but here the management again plays a role. The management should show that AI is not here to just threat them that they might lose their job, although it may happen, but it is there to help them to grow professionally, to achieve much more than they would be able to achieve by themselves. And my experience shows me that companies which take this approach, who communicate in this way towards the employees, there it really works, where they openly support that, where the management leads by example, when they show for what they use these AI tools, what it helps to achieve them. If they all show that to the middle management, to ordinary employees, then it is extremely important. It is extremely important to show people in this position for what specifically they can use AI in their everyday job. If you speak too generally, it is sometimes difficult for these people to imagine for how AI might help them in their jobs. And I think this is the icebreaker that you can use, where the people really realize that AI can become something that helps them to do their job better, that helps them to complete a project, and then it is provides much more benefits. It's also very useful if there is some unified AI portal that presents individual use cases within the company to inspire and motivate people in the company. We also have a 1-year program, as you mentioned, for companies. I am not able to tell what the 1 year is or is not enough, but I am a supporter of longer programs. I believe that long-term development education really makes sense, because if you have one training session, then people go back to their jobs. It doesn't change much, but I think, and therefore I think continuous education, continuous support is important. Learning, teaching by examples is also important, and if if such approach is efficient, then we are ready to offer a longer program. But if you announce it beforehand that you want to implement a long-term program, then it lowers motivation. You should not overload people who will take part in these programs. Often people are demotivated if you ask them for too much, if you put too much information on them. So this should be taking place in steps to make sure that you do not discourage people for participating in such programs.
Interesting thing is that there are quite a few questions concerning the multifunctionality, about sort of skipping these junior positions. Automation in the past led to degradation of work conditions, which was reverted only by the objections of working people. AI can result in the deterioration of the structure in society. And once again, the question, how will you address the need for senior positions if you are not able to educate people on junior positions? I don't think that the AI will not result in all people being only half-skilled. Of course, you will need to have domain experts who will understand AI and be specialists in their specific area. But I don't think this will result in all of us doing some uniform kind of work. Capabilities of AI systems are bigger than we are able to use, but the bottleneck is to correctly assign the task. That means prompting the systems. Working with AI, someone said, is like being able to assign work well to your live people. And not everyone is a good manager who is able to assign tasks well, and the same applies to people using AI. So the idea of a very uniform kind of work, that because rest of the work will be done by AI. There is one more question concerning the degradation of the quality of working conditions with reference to the history. Do you address this topic already in Brussels? I am not sure because labor legislation is more still on the part of the member states. However, what we spent time on when discussing AI was involvement in various generative AI models in selecting new members of staff, for example. And it does already happen. I don't think that the disconnection of the career path, the senior and junior staff, that this path has already been disrupted that much. What we saw so far, for example, in legal practice, is that AI is replacing routine work, which if you do several times, you learn it quite well. But if you do it the whole year, I'm not sure whether this is exactly what builds your additional competencies. So the difference between junior and senior positions is not only in the type of tasks that you do, or not that much the type of tasks, but there is this time difference because you simply need to gather experience in certain situations. And AI will always require some additional management skill to go with it. And then a second thing that is also generally applicable is that even though the individual components using AI will become better and better, I still presume there will be a human supervision, human confirmation of the outcome of the algorithm, for example. You know, some endorsement that whatever the algorithm generated can be eventually presented to the client. Of course, the person supervising the outcomes will be in a different position, but I'm not sure whether it's degradation. So far, we have been investigating a deeper involvement of AI in the processes and in how far it can increase productivity with the same or even reduced number of workers. So it's not so obvious. More and more often, hand in hand with AI onset, we hear talking about guaranteed income, because we will need perhaps fewer people, perhaps less productivity. So let's start from the right. I think productivity and effectiveness or efficiency is often confused, but one concerns quantity and the other one quality. And AI allows people to generate a lot of outcomes that may not necessarily always be of good quality. So the role of a human will be rather the supervision of whether the AI does what it should do. In our task force, AI in management, we consult CEOs of large Czech companies. With them, we discuss the competencies on management positions and how these competencies will have to be changed. We try to define what an HR expert should know and be able to do in 2024 and then again 2025. The corporate culture must be set in such a way. We know that this is lacking in many large Czech companies. The willingness to adopt the new technologies and AI is lacking. So this is an appeal to companies to analyze their corporate culture in this respect. And AI is becoming more and more democratic, and trainings on appropriate prompting, for example, means that so far AI was controlled and operated by smart people, and now the producers of AI, the manufacturers of AI, will focus on the dumb people to be able to do it as well. So the trainings and courses that Barbora talked about will probably be different in the future, because everyone sooner or later will be able to handle it, but not in an efficient way. Lukáš Kačena disagrees. I more or less agree. AI does not mean the same as generative AI. It does not mean only using ChatGPT. There are many much more sophisticated tools that will require highly specialized, highly qualified experts to use it and to operate it. But I was smiling at your question concerning the guaranteed income and the shorter working hours. I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon. But in 2050, 1/3 of the European population will be older than 60 years. And we will have fewer people for the work that we will need. For 100 years, we have already had a 5-day work week. Why is it? Because even with computers, we have not reduced the time that we need for our tasks. And the reason is simple. Over the 100 years that since we have introduced the 5-day week work, we want to be richer and richer. We have bigger needs. We all want to own our houses. We want to own our cars. We want to go for holidays. So I'm quite skeptical about AI changing this approach soon. Of course, we do not know what's going to happen in the next months. The development is very fast, but the population trend will be formative. The Czech Republic actually has the fastest rate of growth in population older than 65 years. Ondřej Kovařík nodded, but that you don't think it is a key topic at this moment. It may be discussed in some countries, but it has not been a topic for us. But frankly speaking, if an income tax is one of the key sources of state funds, this would require an absolute overturn of the system. All the macroeconomical relations would have to be redefined, and I don't think we are that far yet. If this was to happen, the AI technologies might probably play a certain role in that, but other factors would have to be involved as well. If I can go back to education and training, and what I mean by education, it's not, just training courses. It's more a matter of the general mindset in corporations in relation to the corporate culture. We carried out various surveys, and we identified a big gap between the way of thinking among children and adults. And this means that there will have to be a certain continuous educational scheme that will ensure change in the mindset, not only concerning the skills, but also using the technologies. Is there an AI tool that is used to educate people? Well, the language model itself, if you ask it, it will tell you how to learn new things. I use a joint account with my colleague, and he had a baby born recently, and I was surprised that, as ChatGPT learns from what you ask, now I started to have hints about, big car for a baby pram and so on. How can AI affect motivation for work and communication in work teams?
It can strongly influence motivation, in particular, when people realize what it can be used for, how it can help them, with what activities it can help them, where they can use some AI tools to get ready with research, with the visual side, with the content, etc. It then motivates them strongly to put more of themselves into their work. It motivates them to actually use their key human skills and to replace routine work with these. So if we see that some things that took us a long time to complete were repetitive, we did not enjoy working on these tasks, now we see that we can do it much faster, or that AI tools can do these tasks for us, then it motivates us to approach our job more comprehensively. And it turns out that if this is supported and communicated by the management in companies, it motivates people, and it helps to increase their value for the company, because it allows them to enjoy their work. And there was the second part of the question. What was there? Does it have impact on the communication? It definitely has impact on communication, and witnessed many situations. I often witness extreme situations. Either people are afraid to use at all these tools, they are afraid of it, they look at it as some black box, or on the other hand, they would like to use it for everything. And I saw, for instance, that all company communication was done using these tools, and I think this is not a good solution, but definitely communication changes. Many things like marketing communication, newsletters, all this can be replaced with AI tools, and I think nothing wrong about it if it is supervised, but replacing a real communication within the teams is something that I would definitely not recommend. Also, the AI hallucinates still a lot. We do not call it lying, but we call it hallucinating. Well, I wanted to comment on motivation not in companies. I agree with what Barbara said, but the problem is how to motivate young people, students, at the moment when they know that there is some tool available that can do homework for them, write essays for them. And this is a problem that we deal with in all levels of education, in all schools, because it lowers motivation of students to do something when they know that they can get it easily from AI. We do not probably. There are many things that we learned by heart in the past. We no longer do that. But here, for instance, students are required to learn how to structure their thoughts, how to put them in words, but they will use some AI tool. This AI is a tool that also helps us to explain many things, and I think it may be demotivating for young people. It may demotivate them for learning. Does our educational system reflect these changes that happen, or how should it change? Well, I would say that it does reflect these changes. I have positive opinion on this. I think that introducing AI in schools, that we have a number of organizations that focus on this, AI for children, for instance, and this organization is one of the world leaders in introducing AI in elementary school. Their materials are being translated into English because American schools want to use them. So we have a number of initiatives at school that show interest in these initiatives, move forwards and develop, and so there are positive developments in this area. But on the other hand, there are of course some schools where this is no changes are being implemented because the schooling system is vast and there are many schools forming a part of it. I think that now it is AI tools are mostly used by students, and the teachers are just learning how to use them for instruction. Another question for Ondřej Kovařík. When you consider 5-day working week, do you also take into account the changes in the demographics of the population and with their lifestyles? Now we are looking at this from the perspective of the older generations that are used to work 5 days a week, but now we have a new generation that wants to have what they call me time and time for themselves and for their family. They take slightly different approach. Maybe they will really start working 8 hours when they can use AI. Okay, that's a good idea. Well, I'm not sure whether this is a question that relates to AI. I think that gradually we will see a similar process to what happened with digitization. Now we all have mobile phones in our hands where we are not able to actually separate our private life from our work life, whether we plan our holidays or whether in 5 minutes we may be working on a project from work. And I think that similar thing will happen with the use of AI tools. I think that as these things are democratized, we will not need to do a number of tasks on a particular time or at a particular space. So I think that this will change, but this is a kind of general trend, and whether AI aligns with the new generation that enters the job market. I'm not too able to answer that question, but I definitely think that this new generation will be able to use much better and these technologies maybe in much more creative way, because they will consider them an organic part of their everyday lives. They will not need to learn how to use them through some company trainings or similar activities. We know that often these trainings do not achieve the desired results. So yes, I agree. For them, this is something so natural that they will not consider AI as something that they might need to use because they will be already using it. Many questions concern societal impacts, whether AI can contribute to separation of people, whether AI will not cause our cognitive capabilities to deteriorate. These are comprehensive, difficult questions, and I will try to answer them in several points. What I think about this, I think that this damage to our cognitive abilities, underdevelopment of our cognitive abilities is not a big risk. But what I see as a risk is a dependency on AI. When you learn how to use AI and when you see that it's not working, and then you are demotivated to work. It's like when your Windows are updated, that everyone stops working and waits until the systems are back and operating. The same may happen with the AI, I think. So I would not be that much concerned about deterioration of cognitive abilities. I would be concerned more about dependency on AI tools. And another thing, I really believe that even the Z generation will take artificial intelligence not as something that is only for them. I believe that all generation will use it at the end, and the attractiveness of the employers will depend on their corporate culture. And based on the context or communication with our members, I know that they are trying to put stress on their corporate culture. We have a member that organizes every Friday a small competition for a small silver brick for employees that come to the office, because he deals with the problem that people do not want to come to the office and want to work from home. So we should focus on corporate culture. Also, a Future Jobs report from International Monetary Fund recommends putting accent on corporate culture. And therefore, I would just repeat that we need to work with companies to make sure that it turns out well for the employees at the end. I will turn the question around and ask Barbora about how employees can use AI to increase their chances of being successful on the job market. Well, I see it in particular in the area of adaptability. They should not be afraid to try new things. They should be open or courageous to try out these tools. And I'm going back to the Generation Z. For them, this is typical. They do not think about it. They just simply go and try. They are not afraid, and this helps them to discover new possibilities and opportunities. On the other hand, the older generation tends to be more afraid to try new things, whether they might not cause some problems, etc. So if you are looking for a job, if you are looking for a new job, then increasing your attractiveness on the job market is possible through not showing that you are not afraid to try to new things, and also critical thinking is a big part of all of that. Now, if you ask someone about for what AI can be used, everyone will give you some example for it can be used, but try to ask for what would you not use it and why. And based on that, you will learn how people think about this, whether they are actually aware of how these tools work and whether for which areas they are good to be used for and for which they are not good to be used for. And young generation is very good at this. Often I hear that young generation is not good in critical thinking, but my personal experience tells me the opposite, and I'm glad to see that. One more comment about the schooling, about education. There is really a big difference between the students and the teachers. The students already use these tools, and teachers are just about learning about this. And the difference is not only in the approach to AI, but the schooling system has not adapted in general to Generation Z and to the way they think. So we need to take two steps. We need to adapt to the Generation Z, which is different, and adapt to new technologies. I really do not envy teachers their position, because students are much ahead of them. But can AI be used to support someone who has some limitations? For instance, they are in a remote location. So can they use AI to improve their access to the job market? Well, it helps us to make regions that are lagging behind economically catch up with the rest of the country. Well, I'm not sure whether this relates only to AI. Maybe the first part of your question, engagement or participation on the job market. I can imagine a situation where different types of these systems based on AI can actually create better higher quality jobs for handicapped people or for other people that have other reasons that do not make it difficult for them to participate in the job market. And this is a benefit on the individual level, on the level of an individual. For these groups, that it does not bring that much benefit for regions that are currently underdeveloped or structurally affected. In that case, one thing is the quality of the job that is offered, and but the other thing is the quality of life in these regions, how these regions operate, whether they are accessible, where the services that are required by the population are available there. And this technology can play a positive role, but I do not think that it would be an automatic factor that would be able to change the existing trends. But what I mentioned in the first part of my reply, that means offering opportunities, job opportunities to a larger part of the population. I think this is valid. It also includes offering possibilities to participate in a job market for older generations, for people that are over 50. It is now quite difficult to find a new job, and here I think that facilitations through various AI-based systems can help quite a lot.
Let's start with Lukáš Benzl. I'm very glad that you mentioned handicapped people, because we see that the technologies clearly can minimize the barriers and allow handicapped people to do jobs that they would not be able to do before. And there is one other group, and that's people from abroad, because AI minimizes language barriers. Some 3 days ago, I had an email from a handicapped Ukrainian refugee. I received a very long email describing his story and explaining how AI helped him not only adapt his life to the new conditions here, but also helped him find a job as a freelancer. So this is one of physical examples that it can really help them, help handicapped people with some kinds of barriers, whether language or other. Thank you for this specific example. It is always good to see what it can really look like in practice. The other Lukáš, your association, or both of you, both Lukášes, how the association and prg.ai try to support and promote communication between the public and the government about regulating AI. Both of us participated in a roundtable at the Chamber of Commerce, which was focused on how to implement AI Act in the Czech Republic. Both the Czech Association of Artificial Intelligence and prg.ai, they both try really to be the bridge between businesses and the government and to facilitate communication, and it would be a topic for a separate conference. It may seem currently that we are lagging behind, but at the same time we see things starting to move, so we'll see what it looks like after the election. And back to your original question concerning the regions, I don't see any obvious benefit for the regions that lag behind. Digital poverty can actually lead to even bigger gaps between the excluded areas and the advanced areas. And we can see it very easily at schools. In Prague schools, it's rather a normal thing to use AI, which is not the case in schools in those lagging regions. Another question that concerns better efficiency and enhanced productivity. Is there a chance for the state to tax the proportion of work that is done by AI rather than people, and especially if the proportion is going to grow? It's one of the risks that we are discussing. If the most widely used generative AI systems are still in the hands of several Elon Musks, then it's going to be difficult. But as I already said, the labor market is not going to change in such a way that AI will do all the work instead of us. But still, if, for example, program developers or lawyers can do their work in a quarter of an hour with the help of AI instead of in 2 hours, we will have to think about monetizing this benefit. I don't think we need to be looking for this sophisticated answer at this moment. What we are taxing at the end of the day is the final product. It's the outcome of a certain process. We don't look that much into the process, the internal aspects of the process. And VAT tax or sales tax applies to the outcome, to the final product. And this is something that we will obviously stick to, because it's a source of income for the governments. And it also motivates the state to generate high added value in the economy, because it means a high income for the public administration. I do agree, as for the regions, that it may be also a threat for certain regions. It may apply to entire countries. If we look at how the Czech Republic is implementing the AI Act, there are countries in the EU that do not wait for the final deadlines. They have already opened their experimental sandboxes where public and private organizations test new models, new applications, and we still do not have this kind of environment in the Czech Republic. Year on year, we see changes in paradigm every year. This is the speed of change in technologies. And with every month that we are in delay, we are losing more and more in competitiveness. So it's not only regions within a single country. Even individual countries may become lagging because they are not fast